एक विशेष सूचना गर्भवती स्त्रियों के लिए जो NHS ENI की तरफ से दी जाती है। साक्षर बताते हैं कि गर्भवती स्त्रियों में विटामिन डी की कमी होती है जो कोविड-19 की चपेट में आ सकते हैं। इसीलिए ये सलाह दी जाती है कि गर्भवती स्त्रियां प्रतिदिन एक 10 माइक्रोग्राम विटामिन डी की गोली लें। ये दवाएं सुपरमार्केट्स और फार्मेसी के काउंटर पर उपलब्ध हैं। गर्भावस्था के दौरान विटामिन डी लेना बहुत सुरक्षित है। ये सलाह NHS की तरफ से दी जाती है। अगर आपको अपने या नवजात शिशु के स्वास्थ्य की चिंता है तो आप जल्द से जल्द मदद लीजिए। मैटरनिटी यूनिट से संपर्क करें जहां आपने अपने बच्चे की बुकिंग की है। ये सूचना भी आपको NHS ENI की तरफ से दी जाती है। अधिक जानकारी के लिए कम्युनिटी मिडवाइफ या GP से संपर्क करें।
For the community, by the community. Spice FM 98.8 FM.
Hey! Jalf, you look slightly different.
Do I? Than before?
You look like fresh. You look really well. You look like...
I think it's because there's just the angle of the camera, isn't it? And a bit of sun hitting your skin makes your tone look different. I don't know. But I have been using some different type of skincare as well, though. So
have you?
Yeah.
Have you? And is it launched?
Just that stuff.
Yeah.
No, we're still working on it. But do you know what? It's actually really good because there's been a lot of research that's gone into it in terms of all the good things that is good for you as opposed to artificial things that some of the big companies put in. So yeah, I don't know. Look, anyway.
Green and healthy is the future, isn't it?
Absolutely, for sure.
That's why my logo is green, because we're green. Yeah. And actually, look, Asian Business Connections logo is green.
Of course, green has got something very beautiful about green. I mean, kai green is everywhere.
Spring is in the air. What it is. Anyway, good morning. You're listening to Ammar and
Jalf,
live on our weekly radio show and other show right here on Spice FM and across the globe.
And each week we're going to bring some views, news, and one or two clues from the business world.
Asian Business Connections aims to connect, support, and promote the Asian and wider communities.
And we'll be talking shop quite literally, and not just corner shops. Whether you're looking to start a business, have an existing business, or you just want to talk business, we can help.
We can help. We can help. And we do. Gosh, Jalf. So it is, what they look there. It's Friday, obviously, because we're doing our show. It's
Friday the 26th.
26th of February. And earlier this week, on Monday, the Prime Minister announced the roadmap. And what do you think?
Well, look, I think it's a roadmap, and I've got so much mistrust, unfortunately, in terms of what they've done previously. I just hope that on this occasion that the roadmap is set, and it must be set in stone so that they're firm targets that we work towards without them dilly-dallying when it comes closer to those dates, because it would just be an absolute catastrophe if it was. And
he said that leading up to the weeks, Jalf. He had been quite explicit in saying that, look, we're going to do this in such a way that we will not be going back from it. Full stop.
Yeah, but Ammar, that's fine. But if you imagine the journey that they've taken the businesses through in the last year or so, it's been, for me, I think it's been an absolute shambles. There's been some great things in place that they've done, but it's just the inability to be able to plan. When you can't plan your business because they tell you this and they tell you that, and they give you 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I mean, you know, you're going to open tomorrow. I mean, the first opening, I think it was on a Saturday night for hospitality. I mean, you shut restaurants down and then you reopen on a Saturday, Boris. I mean, you know, the eat out scheme that they did, as beneficial as it wasn't the right decision. So and
why?
then
Why would you say that?
Because it made the restaurants too chaotic. It put some extreme amounts of pressure on businesses when it was so quiet. You've got all these social distancing rules, and then you put a scheme out that brings every single person out of their house demanding to eat in every single restaurant. And the demand was so incredible. It was just not that I don't think it was the right thing personally, because I think, how can you control that level of demand when people are coming in and it was just so excessive. It was just too busy. It wasn't the right thing to do. We needed to have stability, and that was a different type of instability, Ammar. Yes.
I'm just chuckling, right? Because I just need to stop you there, right? And I need to tell you this fable.
Uh-huh.
Just for 1 second, I need to tell you this fable. So this guy sets off, this old guy, like a couple of thousand years ago, and he sets off to sell his donkey, right? And with his son, his young son, and they're walking towards the marketplace to sell the donkey. And they're both walking along, and they pass some people, and they hear the people going, well, that's a bit silly. They're walking along to the market, and they're walking the donkey without someone being sat on it. That's ridiculous. So the father gets on the donkey, and the young son is walking along, and they come across some more people, and they overhear these people saying, look at that, that's ridiculous. That man, that father, making his young son walk alongside him while he sits on the donkey, which is ridiculous. So the father gets off the donkey and puts his young son on it. They then walk a bit further towards the marketplace and come across some other people. And they hear these other people say, look at that, that's ridiculous. The son is on the donkey whilst his older father is walking along, right? And that's just stupid. So then the father gets on the donkey with the son, and they're both on this donkey, and the donkey's struggling a little bit. and they get to a bridge, and actually just before they get to this bridge, they hear some other people, and these other people go, look at that, that's ridiculous. Look at the state of that donkey. That donkey's not going to survive. Look at the weight of those two. And if they want to sell that donkey, because they know this is a famous walk to the market where everybody takes their animals to sell them. And they're like, actually, that's stupid that they're going to kill that donkey before it gets to the marketplace. So the both of them jump off the donkey, and the father gets really concerned, and he picks up the donkey and puts the donkey on his back, right? And as he gets to the bridge, the donkey jumps off and floats down the river, right? And the moral of that story is, if you try and please all of the people all of the time, you can kiss your ass goodbye. But that's exactly what the government done, or tried to do, was please everybody all of the time. Now, I have it on good authority, Jeff, and in fact, recorded and broadcast when a few months back we were sat commending Rishi Dishi Sunak.
Yeah, of course, of course we have. I mean, I think that's one good thing that Rishi, they have done their bit. But look, most important thing, we need stability. They took away the stability. They asked us to spend thousands of pounds, get the business reorganized, reset, just to shut us down. And the harvest of this December and Christmas and all of that stuff, it was just a nightmare. But even so, look, we want to move forward. We need stability. These dates that are set, they can't just say, oh yeah, there is I don't know, the American version, the American variant, which is 95 million times more powerful than the South African one and the Brazilian one. That's just landed in the country. And yes, I'm sorry, but we can't open on May the 27th, boys. We'll see you in 6 months' time. And if that kind of nonsense continues, then you might as well say bye-bye to the economy. So they you know, we're going to get set, we're going to get geared up. It's still a good few months away, and we'll be ready to go. The entire hospitality, you know, there's a lot of gravitas in hospitality because I've been getting the calls from yesterday from operators that we're collaborating with, and they're saying, "Are you ready to go?" And I said, "Yeah, of course." The recruitment drive is beginning amongst hospitality, so hopefully, you know, definitely. There's going to be something happening on April, which is April the 12th, which is what, 5 weeks away, 6 weeks away. And various venues will be ready with the outside spaces. And I think, you know, let's see how that pans out. I think from what I've noticed, Ammar, the reaction in terms of reservations has been absolutely like unbelievable. It's scary how the reaction. I mean, every single day, the number of reservations that are coming through, people planning in May. I mean, gosh.
Well, it's just yeah, but equally, Jalf, you know, that's going to create a huge surge and create a peak, and then potentially a trough. I cannot imagine people sustaining that level of interest and enthusiasm for anything longer than a month or two, to be honest.
Well, it doesn't matter, Ammar. It doesn't matter if we go back to anything to what normality was. We had a very, very healthy local economy. So if there's that surge, it's a bonus. And if it goes back to settle to anything like what it used to be, and I'm not confident, or I'm not expecting for it to be what it used to be, because I just think it can't, because you're still going to have social distancing in place. You're not going to have St. James's Park is not going to be full with 52,000 people.
Yeah.
The hotels are not going to be bustling as what they used to be. People are not going to be traveling in. There's still going to be a lot of caution out there. So we all got to maybe take advantage. I've said to my own self that, look, do what you can in terms of the next 6 months, and make the businesses as vibrant as possible, obviously safely as possible, because imagine, Ammar, in 8 months' time, right? Is there going to be a review of the taxes? Is there going to be a review of the VAT? Is there going to be a review of corporation tax?
Well, undoubtedly, and we're going to hear some of that, believe it or not, next week. So we will hear some of the potential imminent changes. They're just being slightly cautious in that, but there is no question that there will be rises in taxes, in VAT, in all of these things. They need to recover the money somewhere, somehow, and that's going to happen through tax. There's no question about that. The other thing that you need to remember, though, Jalf, is we haven't as yet hit this precipice, this cliff edge that keeps getting pushed forward and forward slightly. So we haven't got to a stage where all of the debt and the overheads and all of the accrued sort of money, you know, that businesses have accrued is going to have to be paid back, right? So and at that same time, that support tap's going to be turned off, and we're going to hit a wall, a number of businesses. So whether there's a number of leisure and hospitality businesses out there that will open up in April and May and whatever it is, capacity to recover 12 months worth of income alongside the additional debt is a massive time bomb.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And I think, and more when the furlough stops as well. I mean, what percentage is hospitality and all the other sectors are they going to be running on? We're not going to be running on 100%. I just can't see that. So if we're going to be running on what? I mean, if you've got social distancing in place, you're already down by 25% automatically. So, I mean, are we going to be running on what, 60% to what we used to do, 70% of what we used to do? So if that's the case, even when furlough stops, are we going to, all of those people that are on furlough, are they going to automatically step into their jobs fully? You just don't know, do you? And like you said, is it going to be just for that short period where there's a big boost at the beginning and then things settle? And then you know, I think, like you're saying, Ammar, I think it's about, what, in 6 months, we'll find out where the economy really is and who comes out on the other end safely and who's there and who's not there.
Oh, look, I think it's worthwhile us just reminding ourselves, Jalf, of the announcement. So let's just quickly go through. The Prime Minister sets out roadmap to cautiously ease lockdown restrictions, but in essence, the assessment's based on a variety of things. And as the Prime Minister said, getting children back into school has been the top priority. And so from the 8th of March, all children and students will return to face-to-face education in schools and college. By this point, everyone in the top 4 vaccine priority cohorts, as determined by the independent JCVI, will have received the first dose of their vaccine and developed the necessary protection from it. Also from this date, wraparound childcare, supervised children's activities can resume. Care home residents will be allowed 1 regular visitor. The stay-at-home requirement will remain, but people can leave home for recreation outdoors, such as coffee or a picnic with the household. Some university students on practical courses will be able to return. And then on the 29th of March, the week in which most schools will break up for Easter, outdoor gatherings of either 6 or 2 households will be allowed, providing greater flexibility for families to see each other. This includes in private gardens, outdoor sports facilities such as tennis and basketball courts will be allowed, and formally organised outdoor sports. At this point, the stay-at-home order will end, although many lockdown restrictions will remain. For example, you should continue to work from home where possible, and overseas travel remains barred. That's the only thing that I really want to do, Jeff. I just want to go on holiday. How much is everyone? How much am I pining for a holiday? Desperate. It's probably the single most desperate thing that, if I had a choice, is to do. Obviously, you want to see friends and family. That's number one, naturally. But inside, thinking outward. But inside, I'm thinking,
Sun, man.
I just want to sit in the sun on a bed, relaxing, and in a pool.
Someone massaging your back for you. Someone massaging your feet for you.
Oh. Anyway, back to the future. So the one thing that you can guarantee is uncertainty. Yeah.
Well, that's one thing that we need is certainty. At least don't mess around with the dates, Boris. I mean, seriously, just don't mess around with the dates, man, because we're getting geared up and we're spending lots of money and lots of time, lots of effort, lots of energy, and it's effectively everyone's opening a new business again. So, and it, the socially, Ammar, I think, imagine, Ammar, those that haven't been in the game for that length of time, and I mean, how different are things going to be? Are they going to be able to gauge it? Are they going to be able to judge it? I guess one advantage that we have.
Like what? What do you mean?
Well, right. Let's say, for example, city centre, right? I had this big debate with a couple of friends that represent an organisation, which I'm not going to mention on air, and I said to them that, look, So what's happened since lockdown? City centre, the Newcastle as a city has become a donut, right? So in the city centre, in the core of the city, there's nothing happening, there's no action. Now, those that aren't aware of what I'm aware of and what I've seen, when they're going to come to the city centre, thinking that, oh yeah, I'm going to do my old levels, but you're not. Because what happened on the previous lockdown, and we know from having a branch in Jesmond, everything spread to the outskirts because people weren't comfortable coming into the city centre. And unfortunately, Newcastle, the powers that be at Newcastle City Centre, they didn't have the foresight to see this and tackle it or counteract it or do things that were within their power to kind of set that back. And it meant that city centre businesses, we've never been the same, the city centre ones, since the first lockdown. But whereas Jesmond outskirts has been flying. So that's a social change. That's a direct change from people's behaviour from the lockdown. So is that going to be the case again when we open in April the 12th? Because I can't see anything that the powers that be in Newcastle City Centre are doing anything to counteract that. So I think the city centre, the retailers, the shops are going to suffer. It's not going to be the same as it was. Now, are the little operators aware of these, and are they going to gauge it correct? And that was my point that I'm trying to make, that the dynamic of the game is going to be different, and it's how can everyone have the foresight to see what's out there.
I agree. And even the city centre itself, Jalf, has changed quite dramatically by way of, I mean, imagine Grey Street now, right? What about the roads and the traffic and all of that? You know, that changed. There's a couple of things, sorry, just a couple of things on your point. What's going to happen? So we're going to get a series of Black Eye Fridays is what we're going to get. You know, that's what's going to happen. Everybody's going to rush out the door. Everyone's going to rush into places. Everyone's going to fall down, and they're going to do that like a massive party. You can just see all of the leisure operators. You know, I'm constantly getting like messages from various people. Right, this is happening and that's happening, and we're going to do this, and there's all of these things and such like. You know, and the most important thing is use the time from now until then to look at your business model, to look at your customer strategy, look at your marketing, look at how you're going to operate with the peaks and troughs and all of that, and carry out that assessment that you're making reference to, because you're absolutely right, Jalf. You have been fortunate, you know, because you've managed to maintain and sustain that. But that's one thing. The other thing is the city centres just been ruined.
I mean, hold on, Ammar, can I just make one more point? You know, what's the most beautiful street in the city?
Well, it was voted one of the most beautiful streets in Europe.
Right. So when you go to put on a sign on Grey Street, the heritage department, they are on the case of every single business. Oh, well, you can't do this and you can't do this and you can't do this. But I'm just wondering where every single individual within that department were when someone decided to put black and white cones on the most beautiful street in the city and absolutely ruin it without any recourse. It's just unbelievable. They've just destroyed the beautifulest city in Europe, and that's okay though, because it's obviously, you know, we can't have a say on it because we're just, who are we? We're just the businesses that make the city, not the powers that run it. So that just gives an example of the mentality that they have. Are they dynamic enough to understand what's really needed, and do they have the right frame of mind? Because they don't have the hunger. They don't have the hunger that the small businesses have. They don't have the foresight, and they don't have it's like you have an intuition, don't you, when you're in business? You have your instincts, and your instincts take you a long way. But the corporates sitting in the council, they don't have the instincts to understand what's happening on the ground. They just look at flip charts and computer models and make decisions and ruin the beautifulest street in the city. I mean, I just don't get it, why there hasn't been any uproar about it.
Well, the
Spice FM 98.8 FM.
oh, that'll be the announcement. The 10:30.
That'll be that's a city council on the phone after
Going, how dare you? That's how
yeah.
good. Yeah, I feel for the whole of the northeast. Yeah, but you're right. 21st of June, nightclubs will open.
Really? Wow. Well, let's see where we are on the 21st of June and what kind of how they're going to operate. I mean, I've seen in America and stuff, you can go into a little it's like a little plastic kind of bubble that you go into. Have you seen them?
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if that
ਕੋਰੋਨਾ ਵਾਇਰਸ ਦੇ ਮਸਲੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਾਡੀ ਗਵਰਨਮੈਂਟ ਨੇ ਇਹ ਖਬਰਾਂ ਭੇਜੀਆਂ ਆ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਗਿਆ ਆ ਕਿ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਘਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਰਹਿਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਆ ਇਜਾਜ਼ਤ ਸਿਰਫ ਇਹ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਲਈ ਆ ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਦੀ ਦੇਖਭਾਲ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ ਜਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਕਿਸੇ ਦੇ ਕਹਿ ਰਹੇ ਆ ਜੋ ਕੰਮ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਘਰ ਤੋਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਜਾਂ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਸਮਾਨ ਦੁਕਾਨ ਤੋਂ ਲੈਣਾ ਪਿਆ ਜੇ ਡਿਲੀਵਰੀ ਨਾ ਆਈ ਜਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਮੈਡੀਕਲ ਸਪੋਰਟ ਲਈ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਕਿਸੇ ਦੇ ਘਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਾਣਾ ਜਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਆਪਣੇ ਘਰ ਨੂੰ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਬੁਲਾਉਣਾ ਮਨਾ ਆ ਇਹੋ ਜਿਹੀਆਂ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਆ ਜੋ ਸਾਡੀ ਗਵਰਨਮੈਂਟ ਨੇ ਭੇਜੀਆਂ ਆ ਗਾਈਡਲਾਈਨਸ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਜੁੜੇ ਰਹੋ ਹੋਰ ਇਨਫੋਰਮੇਸ਼ਨ ਲਈ ਤੁਸੀਂ gov.uk ਜਾਂ ਫਿਰ nhs.uk ਤੇ ਜਾ ਸਕਦੇ ਆ ਘਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਰਹੋ NHS ਦੀ ਰੱਖਿਆ ਕਰੋ ਤੇ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀਆਂ ਬਚਾਓ
Your only Bollywood station in Newcastle. Spice FM 98.8 FM.
Do you think that was it? Yeah.
Hmm?
You think that was it?
I hope so.
Well, it was. Like, oh,
Is there not any particular times, Ammar, that these ads come on?
well, it's meant to be 10:30, but there's clearly a clock wrong somewhere because it came on at 10:29 and it came on at 10:29. Sorry about that. That wouldn't happen live, would it? It came on at 10:29 and then it came on at 10:31 or whatever it was. Anyway, did you understand it?
I didn't understand a word.
Did you not?
No.
All right. It was saying stay at home.
Really? I'm not staying at home, man. Never stayed at home. Sorry.
Don't be saying that.
I didn't. I stayed at home for 5 weeks and that was it. I didn't stay at home. I wouldn't be here, Ammar, if I had stayed at home. I'd be a cabbage.
Right, I don't know what that means. I'm sure you
It
can't
just
say
means
that.
that you're going to be at home. You're just going to mentally, you're going to lose you're going to lose everything that you have. You know, you have to be out and about.
Yeah. Well, there's lots of people who had to stay at home.
I mean, you're allowed to be out and about. You can go on your daily walks and stuff like that. I'm not saying, you know.
Because you're not allowed. Why are you encouraging people to like break the law? So
Well,
what you're allowed to do?
No, I'm
to
allowed to be out and about, and I have been because I've been at work since the whole of the lockdown. And everyone else that had the opportunity to go out and walk, you should do it and be out. Don't be in the four walls of your house because I don't think it's mentally right for you. You need your daily walks. You need to keep your mind fresh. Is my point.
I agree. And I think it's really, really important that people do that. So I'm just thinking out loud, Jalf. Actually, what I was thinking about was, so we've had this debate about vaccines for quite some time.
Yes.
And I mentioned to you yesterday that I am booked in next Friday for a vaccine.
Excellent. Good.
Yeah.
Good.
I'm a bit nervous, I'm a bit anxious about it. And I must admit, I was slightly hesitant in the getting the vaccine because of various factors and various things you read and reading and whatever else. Anyway, because I had a suspected heart attack, I was invited to get one. So I've took up the opportunity. And
excellent. Look, Ammar, I mean, we had this debate, and I don't think there's any shame on having these debates openly and honestly on air. And I think it's all about, yeah, there is apprehension, but there is lots and lots of people that have had the vaccines, lots of people that I know personally have had the vaccine, family members, and thank God they haven't suffered from it. There hasn't been any side effects from it. But on the same token, we have heard cases of people that we know that have been like unwell for a number of days since having the vaccines and things like that. So I think that it's all about how your DNA is, how your body is, and how that vaccine affects you as an individual. So we can just hope and pray that, you know, when eventually everyone, whoever decides to have it, they have it. Hopefully, you know, the impact on them is a positive one as opposed to a negative one. And that's all that anybody wants, don't they, Ammar? They don't, I think, you know, you just want something that's good for you. That's all you want. And if it was proven a little bit more,
no one wants to harm themselves.
yeah, no one wants to harm themselves. I mean, if all people need, I think, is they just need a little bit more surety that, yeah, this is really good for you. And then when you go into it a little bit deeply, then you kind of, some things don't make sense and it confuses you. And I guess that's why people have their reservations. So hopefully as time goes by, that they're going to do more tests and there's going to be more clarity about them. And if there's any things that aren't quite right about them, they'll work on them and get them right. So that's why I'll do mine after you've done yours.
All right, great. That's nice. So if I jump off the bridge and survive, then we'll be all right. But yeah, I must admit, having been asked to have the flu jab every single year, it's not something I've ever had. And,
yeah, it's the same with me.
And
I've never had it.
No, but having been sort of unwell quite some time ago, like significantly unwell, and you're always mindful of your health, and but I must admit, I'm not one for taking tablets unnecessarily. Don't particularly like them or enjoy them. It was interesting because after my suspected heart attack, I've been on things like aspirin and beta blockers and all of that type of stuff. But even then, I've been very uncomfortable with taking them. And sort of going for a vaccine for something that you don't know whether you're going to get it or not. You know, there's touch wood. There's no guarantee that you're going to get COVID, is there?
Of course. Well, no, there isn't. And even so many people have had COVID. And I was speaking to some guests yesterday, and the lady was like, well, 8 of my family members had COVID, and I lost the taste in my tongue for 1 day, and the next day I was back to normal, and it was positive on the test. But then within the 8 members of their family, everyone had a different effect from it. And some of them had long COVID and some of them had a 1-day COVID. So it's you don't know how it's going to affect you, and you might not get it, and it might not affect you when you get it. But I guess if you've got a strong immune system, then you'll be able to fight it without extra protection of things like vaccines and this, that, and the other. But even so, I mean,
yeah, we don't know what we don't know, do we? This
yeah.
is the biggest problem and the biggest challenge. But
Yeah.
as I say, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to video it. I'm going to broadcast it, and then I'm going to keep almost a video diary, because what's really important is that actually, in essence, Jalf, whilst I had incorrectly suggested there's no guarantee that we're all going to get COVID, the likelihood is if you become exposed to it, you will catch it. It's the varying levels of impact But being someone who is 3 times more likely to die from it, so you and I are 3 times more likely to die from it, I think I'd rather get the vaccine.
That's fine, but the vaccine's not given 100% protection, though. That's the thing.
All right, but look, if it gives you 70, 80, 90%, it gives you 50%, that means I'm 1.5 times more likely to die. I'm just I'm half to the likelihood of me dying, is the point. So, look, there's no guarantee. I could walk out of that bloody vaccine centre and get hit by a bus. And then how upset would I be? Because I walked to the vaccine centre and it wasn't COVID that killed me. It was the bus whilst I went for the vaccine. So it was the vaccine. It was actually the vaccine that ended up killing me. I don't do it. So as I say, I can only deal with and I can only do what I know. And what's particularly important is we all have that conversation around, is this the right thing to do? And if it is, then we're doing it for, I'm doing it for my family. I'm doing it for those around me. And I'm also doing it to go on holiday, to be honest, because if I need a vaccine, if I need a vaccine passport to go on holiday,
But you need a vaccine passport to go to the shop as well, though, to buy your newspaper.
Well, fair enough. I like reading the newspaper, so I'll. If I need to get 10 vaccines to do the things that I enjoy doing, then and as long as I'm not, they're not going to have an adverse effect, and I suppose that's the challenge. We don't know. Anyway, some updates on COVID. I don't know if you're aware or not, but Her Majesty the Queen, she, for the first time ever, went public and held a call yesterday telling NHS leaders she hopes that those who are reluctant will think about other people, because since receiving her first jab in January, she says she feels protected and the injection didn't hurt at all. England.
It's not about the injection hurting them all, is it? I'm sure people would be.
People are just unsafe, don't they? But it's like, anyway, the Queen's never got involved in anything like of this sort. It's interesting that she is. I did send you a message also. There's the vaccine bus, isn't there?
Yeah.
And let's just, where is that message? Because I feel as if I need to share it with people. So the Newcastle Community COVID vaccination bus, the Newcastle COVID vaccination bus is coming to protect the vulnerable in your community this Sunday, the 28th of February. If you are a carer, aged over 50 and from a higher risk community, or have underlying health conditions like diabetes or asthma, please contact your community leaders to book your vaccine. And we have M.A. Zaman Arif from the NBA. We have Hussein Ahmed from the SMN. We have Abu Yadul Haq from the NMC, and we have Aminur Rahman Lilu from the FSN.
Are those your brothers?
I thought they were yours. They're all called Ali. There's the thing. But no, they're not. That's the Bangladeshi Association, Newcastle. So they've organized it. So I think it's wonderful. I think it's a great thing. Everyone should get on the bus and go for a ride if they can.
Yeah.
Will you be doing that, Jalf?
At the moment, no.
All right, okay. So anyway, what else is happening in the news? Jalf? I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued by this Alex Salmond story. Have you been following it at all or not?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Right. I'm really intrigued by it. So Alex Salmond was in charge of the Scottish National Party.
Yeah.
And really, he helped establish it. He put Nicola Sturgeon in her job, and all of that. And then a couple of years back, they clearly had a falling out, and he was alleged to uh, uh, sexual harassment claims from a number of women. Now, he's always denied that he'd ever done anything wrong and that it was a conspiracy against him, put him into jail, and that the Scottish National Party had gone out and got these women to make these claims just as a concerted effort. And actually, he was acquitted in court last year. Then there was an inquiry by the Parliament, and he was meant to give some evidence on Wednesday, but the Lord Chief Justice of Scotland, so the Scottish Prosecution Service, said if he says certain things, he's going to be in contempt of court. So they gagged him from saying things, and he wanted to produce things in writing, and they said you can't, and if you do, you're gonna. And what's interesting is that the prosecution service advises the government as well as is influenced by the government. So it's such an intriguing story of someone as powerful as him being allegedly stitched up, as he's calling it, and then trying to get his story out and being gagged everywhere.
Well, look, that doesn't surprise us. I think you should listen to that video that I sent you about Mr. John Kennedy, and you'll understand a little bit about what goes on at the highest echelons of society. I think if they don't want him to speak, maybe he's going against the people that put him in his position in the first place. So we don't really know. We're never going to know the entirety of the truth of exactly what's going on and who's behind what. But ultimately, I think you do want justice to prevail in every instance, in every circumstance, because without that, what type of society would we have if there wasn't justice, right? And if truth doesn't prevail, truth must always prevail. Because the truth is the most, isn't that what's the fabric of society, Ammar? Like the truth.
So I mean, look, if you think about what people used to do, I mean, just on an aside, have you seen? I think it's on Netflix, The Messenger. Have you seen that movie?
Is it? I don't think I have. Is it the one on? Is it quite a few series? No.
It's about the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him.
Okay, on Netflix, I haven't seen it. I'm on now.
Yeah, it's about it's set and it takes you through the story, and they've done it in such a respectful and mindful way that you don't ever see. There's no person playing the prophet.
Yeah, well, there can't be, can there?
No. But I'm just saying, as in, look, there's lots of movies of Jesus and
yeah, of course.
That, right?
And I think that was explicit. It was explicit in Islam, where there was no description of there's descriptions of what he looked like. It's supposed to be like an absolutely unbelievably good-looking man and things like that, but drawings of his face and things like that has never ever been shown, and I can't remember the exact reasons for it.
There are illustrations of him, so they exist. They do exist, and in fact they exist from that time. So there are where it's been passed down, not dissimilar to all of the other prophets. But the one thing that Islam talks about is that none of the prophets should be replicated or illustrated, not just Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Anyway, the reason why I was pointing that out was I've started to watch it. It's quite a long movie, but it illustrates the journey of Islam. It's really interesting, really interesting. And as I say, you don't get to see the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. He's almost looking. You're looking through a camera lens. Through when you see, as in, you see people talking to him, but they're talking to the camera as if he's there, but you never ever see him. Anyway, the reason why I was mentioning that was because, look, the fabric of our society is based on the 10 commandments that were passed down allegedly from God, right? So, and they talk about, do not have any other gods, is one. Do not make or worship idols. Do not disrespect or misuse God's name. Remember the Sabbath and keep it holy, so the day. Honor your mother and father. Do not commit murder. Do not commit adultery. Do not steal. That's within a particular book. Within the Bible, it also talks about sort of covet thy neighbor's goods, or don't lie, and things like that. So the preface, or the every single religion is predicated on telling the truth. And regardless of how religious you are or not, or whether you believe in a particular religion or not, every single religion, major religion, I'm not talking about spin-offs or spin-outs or whatever that is, or cults and things like that, that clearly have established and such like. But every single religion is based on good or best practice. And in fact, I was having this very debate the other day about Islam as one religion, and Islam comes from the book. It was founded from the book. It's called Hadith, and the Hadith is each of the major religions. So Islam recognizes all of the past prophets and the books that they were given, and each of those were based on doing the right thing. So society that is evolved from religion has evolved from these teachings. And in fact, the law itself that we live by is prefaced by religious teachings. So the Magna Carta and all of this was created by religious people. And
Well,
so my point, sorry, is a very long way of going around the doors to say you should absolutely not lie.
of course, truth is everything. Truth is the key. And look, I think,
does it always come out, Jalf? Does the truth always come out?
I think, Ammar, interestingly, when you do some reading and you go a little bit deep into the religious teachings and stuff, they always say that the truth is always going to come out at some point. So
yeah, but okay, but I don't imagine it necessarily coming out here. But in religion, the suggestion is we are all accountable for our deeds and misdeeds, aren't we?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that includes lying.
Mm-hmm.
So just be mindful. And the other thing is when people lie, Jalf, they then have to tell another lie, and then another lie, and then another lie, and then that just goes on, and then before you know it, they've forgotten what the truth was or wasn't, and what they've lied about or what they haven't.
Because it's not, of course, and that's the other thing. It's because you can't remember the lie, right? You can remember the truth.
You can remember what you should have done
Yeah.
and what you shouldn't have done, but it's quite interesting, isn't it? It's quite telling. Anyway, we've done a bit of around the room. It was the curry club last night, Gaff. Um, Great feedback. You know, I must admit, uh, I, I was slightly concerned around the topic and the relevance, but in essence, Irfan Ali done a great job of sort of highlighting the importance and the process of immigration and visas and such like for all of us to consider, especially now that we have come out of the EU. And but then Federico was first class, um, you know, including the quality was a lot better than last time. It still wasn't perfect, so I think it's just where you are.
I need a bit of help. I need someone, anyone listen who's broadband specialists. I need them to come in and advise us on how we can improve the service, because the people that I'm with, we're really struggling. So
Part of the problem and the challenge you have, Jaff, isn't just around the pipe coming in, it's what it's connecting into internally. And you probably could do with a mesh type system to amplify the signal more broadly within your premises, because you're in such a beautiful historic building with such thick walls that normally
yeah,
the
I'm off, but
Wi-Fi
that unit is right next to that where Federico was. So I think it's to do with possibly the connection that's not from our building when it leaves and it connects to the street. I think it's probably more to do with that somehow. I'm not really too sure, but engineers haven't been able to tell us much, and they've done a lot of surveys and this, that, and other on site. But anyway, it's a different. It's something that I'll look into.
Anyway, it was a great curry club, John.
Yeah, good.
Is what it was. And we did suggest that, in fact, we probably should use the same dish next month, and just consider pre-packing the ingredients and offering.
Yeah, of course. It's that easy. Okay.
So we just need to create that mechanism. Obviously, people will have the choice to pay for it, and I imagine some of those, that let's see if people are up for that and prepare for that. The curry club in the next curry club is actually going to be in April, which gives us quite a long runway to do this.
Yeah, we'll look into it straight away.
Wonderful. And Jaff, what's planned for this weekend, given the fact that you never stay at home?
Just more of the same, Ammar. I think you'll probably spot in the quayside, to be honest. I can see a whole load more people out. The weather's nicer. The streets are busier. I think it's nice to see people out on the streets, 100%. And people are, because they're allowed to be together outside, you can see that instantly. So let's get things back. Let's get things moving and get back to where we used to be.
Oh, without a doubt. I think certainly we are equally looking at what can we do within the constraints. I'm desperate, potentially. I'm looking to have a garden party is what I'd like. Get a bouncy castle, get kids around, get people around, and just sort of do it on a Sunday afternoon where people are not too worried about going out elsewhere and such like. So probably going to do something like that. Fortunately, we're looking at a variety of other things, but I'll tell you what it is, Jack. whilst there is that ray of hope, there's still that current challenge that people are experiencing. Things are really hard.
Spice FM. Spice FM. Hotter
Goodbye from
than
me.
Vindaloo Curry.
Bye, Ammar.
98.8 FM.
See you next week.